I'm super excited to part of this the virtual meet. This is our first virtual meet happening across the APAC region, Asian region. So today, myself and Temi, my partner Temi is here. So we both are here to present the test-driven upload, the development, the approach for the Dynamics 365 CE plugin development. So let's move on to the slide. I will quickly share my screen. Yep. So here is a quick info about the speakers. Myself, Dharanidharan Balasubramaniam, as I said earlier, I'm basically from India. Currently, I'm based out of Malaysia. I'm a Dynamics 365 CE techno-functional consultant, and I'm a part of Microsoft Dynamics 365 CE Power Platform and BizApps APAC community lead. And I'm currently leading the Malaysia community, and I'm a part of D365 Champs and ambassador of the 365 Saturday, and we organize events in Kuala Lumpur like meetups and hackathons. And along with myself, my partner Temi is there. So over to you, Temi.
Yeah. Hello all. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Temi.
Yeah, my name is Tammy. I'm a Dynamics 365 CE Techno or functional consultant. I'm actually from Indonesia and now I'm working at Kuala Lumpur also. I'm here as a helper of Dharani. So Dharani is actually my boss. So in here I also become lead for the Malaysia, something like that. Back to you, Dharani.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Temi. So we'll quickly get into the agenda of this presentation. So today, first we'll see what is a TDD, and we'll go through the TDD development lifecycle process and why TDD the development is very much important in our software projects, and what will the impact we will get if we have the bad code in the system, and we'll do the comparative study against the quality and the cost if we use the TDD approach. And let's see how we can apply TDD for the Dynamics 365 plugin developments, which means the custom codes. And let's see the benefits and the limitations, and also we'll show you the system demo. And but last, finally, we'll summarize what all the things we covered as part of this presentation. So next, yeah. So the TDD is one of the programming practice which generally they follow in the agile methodology. Like if you ask me, what is a TDD theoretically? Theoretically, it's a software development process that relies on the repetition of a very short development cycle. Means each and every small requirements will be turned into a very specific test case in the system. So yeah. So in the TDD approach, first what they will do is like first they will develop the test, and the test is developed which specifies and validates what that code will mainly do. In simple terms, if you ask me, then the test cases are created before the code is written. The purpose of TDD is the mainly to be keep it simple. It is mainly to keep the code cleaner and simple and the bug free. And test-driven development starts with designing and developing tests for every small functionality of an application. Even if you have a small functionality in the system, then that should go through the TDD process only. The TDD instruct the developers to write new code only if an automated test has been failed. This avoids the duplication of code. And yeah, the TDD, the full form is like the test-driven development. And the simple concept of TDD, yeah, is to write and correct the failed tests before writing a new code. For example, if you want to implement any new functionality to the system, the first thing what we need to do is like we need to run the test cases the unit test cases which we have written, and we need to make sure everything is working perfectly. Then if it works perfectly, then only we need to start developing our new application. So this helps to avoid the duplication of the code, as well as we write a small amount of code at a time in order to pass the test. And the test driven the development is like a process of developing and running the automated tests before the actual development of the application. So in TDD, mainly the what the developer they need to do is like before starting with the development, they need to start the unit test cases. They need to develop their own unit test cases using their, each and every company, they do have their unit testing automation framework. So using that automation framework, they need to write their unit test cases, and then they need to get into the developing the functionality. So by this way, what we can achieve is like the developers will understand the requirements clearly before developing the application. So the developers, so for example, it won't create any issues later in the system. So that's the main advantage of this TDD. So now the next will go through the TDD development lifecycle process. So the development lifecycle, the process, the test-driven development lifecycle process involves 6 steps. One is like add test, run all the tests and see if the new test fails, write the code, run test, refactor code, and repeat. This is the pictorial representation of the test-driven development lifecycle. So initially, if you see here, so what the developer they do is like they will write the test and they will check whether the test fails or not. If it fails, again they will write enough code to make this test pass. If it pass, then they will get into the refactor and they will refactor the code. Again, they will rerun the test, and if it succeed, and they will get into the next requirement. This is how it's a kind of a cyclic process actually. They will add test, they will run it, write and if any issues, then again they will write some simple code to fix that. Again, they will run. If everything passes, then they will refactor the code, and they will repeat this actually. We'll go through each and every step line by line in detail. First, we'll walk through the add test. In TDD, in test-driven development, each new feature begins with writing a test. For example, to write a test, the developer must clearly understand the feature specifications or the requirements. So the developer can accomplish through by going through the user stories and the use cases to cover the requirements and the exception conditions. And he or she can write the test in whatever the testing framework is appropriate. For example, for the dynamics, we mainly use the framework called Fakes XRM EC, and we do have our own framework called NEAM framework. And apart from that, we use XUnit too. We have built our own automated unit testing framework. With that, we will write these things. And because of this add test, this add test, how it benefits to the software development lifecycle, it makes the developer to focus on the requirements before writing the code. So because before implementing, they need to write all their unit test cases so that the developers will get the clear picture before writing the new functionality by writing this unit test cases. Once the add test step is done, then the developers will run the test and see whether the automated testing framework is working correctly or not. If it does not pass, then obviously it should fail, because he is going to start with a new requirement. So obviously it should fail with this test case. If it fails, then the developer can get a confidence saying like the unit testing framework which he or she has written is working fine. Okay. If it fails, then the developer he or she need to adjust the code. He need to write the functionality, and they need to rerun the test actually. If it fails, then the developer need to write some code that causes the steps to pass. And one more reason, in this third step, whatever the code the developer is writing, it no need to be perfect at all. Just they need to write the code in order to make this the test case to pass. Because in the fifth step, we have a step called a refactor code. In the step, we will have the provision to refactor all the codes. So over there, we'll correct everything. So in the third step, we will just write a code to make sure that our test case is passing or not. Once the third step is done, again, we will run the test. So if the test pass, then the developer can be confident that the new code is meeting the test requirements, and also it is not breaking the existing features, or it is not degrading any of the existing features in the system. In case if it fails, then the new code needs to be adjusted until it passes. In the fourth step, if it is failing, then the developer he need to adjust until his unit test is getting passed. So once this is done, then the refactor comes into the picture. The refactor plays a vital role in the TDD. because already in our existing system we will be having lots and lots of existing features, and on top of it, since we are building lots and lots of features, the code base will be keep on growing. So in the TDD, the code base should be cleaned regularly, and the duplicate must be removed in the system. For example, the object, class, module, variable, method names. So what are the things we are, in order to achieve the new functionality, what are the things we are creating? It should clearly represent the purpose and the use whenever the extra functionality is added. So as features are getting added into the system, the method bodies, it keep on getting increasing, and objects also getting larger. So there might be a chance like here over here it will miss the readability and maintainability. So in order to achieve that, the object, class, module, variables, methods, what are the things we are creating in order to achieve the new requirements, we need to clearly represent the current purpose and the use of it. So this plays a vital role in the TDD. And also, if, for example, wherever we need to, if the design pattern is required, for example, if the single pattern needs to be implemented somewhere or inheritance need to be implemented somewhere, so over those places, it's must that we need to follow the design patterns, so that it will be easy for the other team members and developers to read our code and understand it in even in the absence of other team members. Yeah. So, and the one more thing, the main thing we need to consider in the refactor is like each time when we refactor the code, we should rerun the test to make sure we are not breaking the existing functionality while refactoring the code, because while refactoring will change the variables, will change the object names. Because of that, we should not break anything in the existing system. Whenever we refactor, we need to make sure that we need to run the unit, we need to run the test and make sure that all the test cases are getting succeeded. Yep. So this is pretty much about the TDD lifecycle. Now I will explain you why the TDD is so much important in the software projects. So the main thing is like it keeps you out of the time hungry, the debugging time. It reduces the debugging time, and it reduces the bug in the new features. And also we are making sure that we are not breaking the existing features in the system. For example, in the previous release, whatever there in the production, so we are making sure that we are not breaking any of the existing features in the production environment. And it reduces the cost of change, and it improves the design. So since we are following the complete design patterns, so it improves the design, and it encourages the refactoring into the system, and builds a safety net to defend against the other programmers. And it is a fun actually while working on the TDD, because we always do the refactoring, all so many things. And also it on one thing is like it forces you to slow down and think actually. Will not be able to hurry in this process actually. Even if any new requirement the business pushes in, so we should not take it and do it with the shortcut or something. We need to follow the strict TDD approach. So for that reason, so here there will be a slowdown, and it always makes the developers to think about it before implementing the functionality, whether it would be appropriate one for the business users, since we are developing the test cases. Yep.
Sorry to stop you there, Annie, but I think there is some question in the chat box now. I don't know if you answered this already.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so it says here when we need to do this, when do we need to use TDD after basic design, base complete, and before the actual development starts.
Yeah.
So if I will understand, it's more of the timing when do we use TDD.
Sure, Paul. I will take up the questions in the last actually, or else Temi is there. He can reply in the chat window. Yeah, I will go
Okay,
through. Yeah, yeah,
thank you, Dan.
yeah. Sure, Paul. Thanks. And also, it speeds up the development by eliminating the waste, and it reduces the fear. We no need to reduce about the production things, since each and everything we are validating against our test cases. There is the so we no need to fear anything about the production release, all those stuffs. Now let's see what all the impacts we will have if we have the bad code in our system. The one main thing will be it will be inefficient, and it will be very hard for the other developers to read and understand if you have the bad code in the system. And obviously the performance will be very slow. So in order to maintain the performance of our the system, always the refactoring, we need to do the refactoring and not following the proper conventions. So each and every company, they do have their company standards, like declaring the variable, all those things. Each and every company, they have their certain standards. So we need to make sure that all the developers in the organization, we need to make sure we are following the coding standards. And the next thing is like not applying the best practices. If you are not applying the best design practices, then it will be a big problem in the TDD, because because obviously for the functionality also we'll write the lots and lots of code, and also we'll be having the lots of code for the unit test cases also. So there will be lots of code in the system. So if you are not having the best design practices in the system, then it will be difficult for the others to understand the system and to proceed further. And also, if any new changes comes, if the design is if the system is not in the proper format, and it will be very hard for the other developers to understand and change the steps. And the technical debt in the sense, for example, if the business is pushing you to do the things quickly, then the developers, what the typical the developer mindset is like, will do some shortcut approach and will try to complete the development and will deliver to the business. But in the TDD, we should not encourage that. So each and every small requirement, it should follow the TDD approach. So like we need to write the unit test cases before writing the functionality, and then we need to write the functionality, and then we need to run the unit test case. And if we make sure if everything is passed, then refactor, then we push it to the code base. That's how we need to do. So these are the impacts we will get if we have the bad code in our system. And next is like the comparison of the quality code. I'm going to compare the code against the costs and the quality. The thumb rule here we need to understand is like the fundamental role of the internal quality is that it lowers the cost of the future change, but there is some extra effort required to write a good software, which does impose some cost in the short term. A way of visualizing this is with following here. If you see this first pseudo graph where I plot the cumulative functionality of a software versus the team to produce it. For most software efforts, the curve looks something like this. So with most software system, it becomes hard to add new features over a period of time. This means that they will take longer to appear and also it will lead to the increasing cost in the system. And typically at the end of the day, what it will happen is like it will lead to the poor internal quality in the software system. The progress is rapid initially, but as time goes on, it gets harder to add the new features in the system. Even the small change requires programmers to understand the large areas of code, and that code gets difficult to understand when they make changes. Unexpected breakage will occur in the production system to the existing features, and it will lead to the long test times and defects that needs to be fixed. So much of time is involved in it. So because of the time, the involvement process, we need to allocate obviously a resource to those process, right? So obviously the cost also involved over there. So concentrating on this high internal quality is about reducing the drop off in the productivity. So indeed, some products, if you see, and where the developers can accelerate as a new features can be easily built by making use of the prior work. But this happy situation is a rare case. It won't come across all the time, because as it requires a skilled and disciplined team to make it happen. But we do the scenario occasionally, but not very frequent. During this period, there is some kind of trade-off between this quality and the cost. So the question will arise here, like how long is the period before this line crosses? So at this point, we run into this why this is a pseudograph. There is no way of measuring the functionality delivered by a software system, because the inability to measure the output and the productivity that makes it impossible to put the solid numbers on the consequence of the lower number quality. So see, as you say, in the normal day-to-day life, we will not be able to measure the productivity of the lawyers or the doctors. So yeah, so that's the same thing, but over here that's not the case. The developers will find the poor quality code significantly. It's slow them with a few weeks. So there is not much runaway where the trade-off between the quality and the cost applies. So even the small software efforts benefit attention to good software practices. I feel even if it is a small software also, it should be we need to follow the good software the practices, so that in the long run, so it will be easy for us to maintain that product compared to the quality and also the cost wise. So I feel that's the thing. So this is the comparative study between the cost and the quality of the product. If you use the TDD, I feel the TDD must be very important in the long run of a product, even in the if it is a small product also. And here is the benefits of TDD. And yeah, in the if you see the benefits of TDD, we do have lots of advantages and disadvantages while achieving this TDD. The one main thing is like if you see the advantages first, it gives you the early bug notification. So the developers, they test the code, but in the database world, this often the consist of manual tests on off scripts. But whereas if you use our TDD approach, over time we run our automated test that will each and every time that will give you the result, the early bug notification you will be getting it. And also, since we are using the TDD approach, it will be better designed, the cleaner and more extensible code will be available in the system. It helps us to understand how the code will be used and how it interacts with other modules, and it results in better design decision and more maintainable code. And TDD allows writing smaller code, having the single responsibility rather than the monolithic procedures with the multiple responsibilities. So this makes the code simpler to understand for the other developers and also for the other team members. So TDD also forces to write only the production code to pass the test based on the user requirements. And the main benefit over here is like we can avoid the regressions in the system, because since we are running the automated test cases each and every time before developing the new functionality, we are making sure that we are not breaking any of the existing features in the system. So by this way, we can avoid a lot of time in doing the regression testing. And the refactoring, as I already mentioned earlier, if you refactor your code, there can be a possibilities of the break in the system. So each and every time when you refactor the code, you need to rerun the test case to make sure we are not breaking the functionality in the system. And because of the refactoring, we are making sure that the code is the readable and maintainable for the other users, so other developers across the team. It's good for the teamwork, and also it's good for the developers. Why I'm saying it's good for the teamwork is like in the absence of any team member, the other team member can, for example, if they suddenly get any of the production issue, the other team member can easily pick up and work on the code. And and also it aids the knowledge sharing, thereby making the team more effective overall. If the code is readable and maintainable in the system, other team members can easily pitch and work on those issues, and he can fix it and deliver it. We no need to wait for the other the team members to come back. And also it's I feel it's mainly good for developers, though the developers have to spend a lot of time in writing the TDD test cases, but it takes less time for debugging and developing the new features. So what all the time we are using it for utilizing the for the we are going to consume it for the debugging, that we can use it for writing the TDD test cases, so that we can avoid lots of bugs in the later stage actually, so that we are making the product as a robust one. And also our code will be very cleaner, and our code will be a very less complicated code in the system. And even this TDD do have lots of limitations, some of the limitations. So the main limitation is like since we have lots of existing features, and also we will be developing lots of new features into the system. So we'll be writing lots and lots of test units to the system. So and this test suite will take too long to run. because whenever if you want to develop the new feature, we need to make sure that the everything is working fine. So this test suite every time it will take a long time to run. And also the other thing is like not all the developers, they will know that how to they need to write the unit test cases, and they don't know how to test it. And yeah, lots of codes get created since we are writing test code for even very small requirement. Yeah, so the lots and lots of code will be there in our code base, because even for the small requirement also we need to write our unit test cases. So that's the reason everyone might not be taking a TDD approach. Only a few of the organizations will be using this TDD approach. So the next slide is like how we have implemented the TDD for the Dynamics 365 plugin development. So basically we have used three things. One is like a fake XRM assembly. This fakes as a XRM assembly. It comes with the Dynamics 365. So it's an open source automated testing framework. It's specifically they have designed it for the Dynamics CRM versions like 2011, 13, 15, and Dynamics 365. And the mainly the fake XRM assembly enhances your organizations to be more productive, because it uses an in-memory organization database where you can write hundreds of automated tests, and this will run in a matter of seconds. Seriously, it's amazing to use this fake XRM assembly. And also we do have the NEAM XRM framework. This has been developed by a few of the resources. So it's available in the GitHub, and this is an open source framework which we have implemented of which we are using mainly in order to achieve the TDD for the Dynamics 365 custom codes like plugins, custom workflows, activities. And also we do use the XUnit. So this xunit.net is a free open source, the community focused unit testing tool. It's mainly for the .NET framework. So along with this, we get the tools like ReSharper. So with this only we'll be refactoring our code. So with these three things, we have achieved the TDD for the Dynamics 365 for the custom codes. So we'll quickly have a system demo. So my partner Temi is there. So he will show the system demo of the custom code. For today's scenario, we are taking the plugin, the Dynamics 365 CRM plugin. So we'll take one scenario and we'll explain you how we have implemented the TDD for our Dynamics plugin code. Yeah, over to you, Timmy.
Yeah, so everyone can see my screen. Okay, already, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Okay, so I will start the demonstration. So actually, I already have one organization here. So this one is for samples, how we create TDD. I just want to using this entity. So this one is custom entity. So the requirement will be we will set name when on save. When on save, we will call plugin. Then we will, based on the transaction date and the customer that we selected, then we will have like maybe the name, let's say the customer Tammy, something like that. Then transaction date, maybe I just put today. Then the expectation should be something like this, 28 March 2020, something like this. So this one is just sample, simple sample for the TDD part. So I will show you how we create this one in the how we create the plugin in the TDD mindset paradigm. So basically, we should start. I have two projects in here. One is the test one is the plugin. So we will start in the test first. Based on what Dharani already say, the TDD phase, right? The first one is we create the failing test first. Why this one is important? Because in the end, as a developer, when we want to test something, we should test also in the real one. Means that whenever we want to test our changes, we need to input the data first, something like this. Then so I select this one, maybe datum fabrication, this one. Now, then we need to save. means in the code also doing the same. What we need to do is, now I will have, this one is XUnit fact. The name for this one is set transaction name. Usually I will use this naming to make us understand what is this task about. Then for this one, I already set up everything, so all the dependency is already here. I have fake SRM, the assembly, the NIAM SRM framework, and task helper. This one I already set everything in here, so the demonstration will be more faster. So in here means that if you check in here, it's actually customer. This one is account. So same with the code also, we will create first the account contact, sorry. New contact, something like this. Then basically I will set the name. This one is the part of the NIAM SRM framework, that one. So in here is already showing full name. I will set as, let's say, Temi Wahyu Raharjo. Then I will start to create the test one. New. This is the target entity that we want to set. CR. I will create this one. I set the ID. Then same with the UI, we need to set two things. First is customer ID. The second one is the date. So this is the data that we want to submit in the UI. Then for the calling our business, I will create this one, task. The object is this one. So this one is like, I will create test event for this entity. Then I will submit. Now in here, there is, if we want to set up the data, we set in here. So basically, if your business logic need to have retrieve data from database, we need to input it in here. So in here, I will set the contact here. This framework is actually a wrapper of the fake SRM. So just to make the fake SRM, that one, more easier for us to call our business logic. So in here, I still not creating anything for the business class. I will create based on this name, set transaction name. Right click, add new class. Sorry. Something like this. Need to be inherit from operation base. Then in here we need to know what's the entity, main entity that we want to create this business class. Then I will implement all the missing member like this. So this is the business class that we create only like this. Then we call in here transaction name. Then in here we need to pass in the target. Something like this. Now, then after we calling the business, we want to check what? For this demo, I will check the target. The target contains the correct data that we want to get. For this one, I will take the name, this one. Then I will assert. In here, I will check the name is like this, Tami Wahyu Raharjo. Then the format will be like this. Name. So only like this one, then we suppose can test already. I will right click, run test in here. It's supposed to come up in here. It will detect our test with the name that one, set transaction name show valid. Then, wait a second, it's supposed to be failed. I don't know, whenever I'm trying to present something, it will be very slow. Sorry. So this one is we, in the step this one, write filing test first. Like this. So if you check in here, we actually can get the actual error. The method or operation is not implemented because we actually still not doing anything. So the error is come from here. So what we need to do after we getting this one is the step is make it pass as simple as possible. So what I want to do is I will copy this one and then put in here. I will set the name as that one. Then I will track again. Maybe many of you after seeing this one, you will say impossible, we will create that code. Yes, TDD for the beginner, you should think like this way. We should like focus on the simple things that we can get before our code evolve, something like that. So in here, if you see, it's already green, means our code is actually already correct for this one. But this one impossible, we will do like this. So we do the next iteration. We will evolve this code soon. So basically, I will divide into two tasks. One is getting this data. The second one is getting this part. So I will do the date first. So let's say I will use like this. Transaction date is get value. I will get the transaction date. Get value, it will send default data. So if the transaction date is empty, it will still get the default date time data. So this one is all is part of the framework already. So after I getting the data, I will set, let's say, I will check the date, transaction date. I will take the date, day, then I will to string 00, something like this. Then for the month, I will take the to string, something like this, and to like this. Then for the year, like this, transaction. Yeah. Then I join everything. Something like this, month plus with the year. Then I will check, is it correct or not? Something like this. Now, in here, actually, we can do debugging also. Without us to need to connect to the CRM, something like that one. We can directly debug from here. Wait for a second. Yeah, so we already got the debugger here. Then we can check already in here what's the value. Yeah, the value is as what I expected, like this one. So our code should be still pass in here. After I run the debugger, I release continue the debugger. This one is already correct. So this is the first stage of the how our production code changed. So now we focus on the second one, which is this one, taking the customer name. So what I'm going to do is I will get the customer. So I will get the CR customer ID like this. Then I will put name. If customer ref not empty, I will get data from the database. I will retrieve the data. This one, let's say I will take contact because our task is contact here, contact. Then I need to have ID, customer ref.id, then the column set. I import the missing reference here. Then I will take the full name. If already get, I will pass the data into contact. Then name is equal with contact get. Full name, something like this. And the second part we actually can remove already using name, something like this. Then we check again, is it correct or not? Yeah, it's all still correct. So the one that I want to show is this one. Customer, this one can choose between account or contact. So means that actually there is two things that can be happen if the user choosing the account or user choosing the contacts. That's why we need to separate out again. So sorry. For here, I will change the name, become contact. Then I will copy out the same code, the same text, but this one is account. This one I will change to account. I will rename the variable name. Now this one don't have the attribute of full name, so the one that they have is name. Something like this. Then it should be okay also. Now, when we're doing this one, it's supposed to be got error because we are not retrieving from the account. So what we need to do is we need to go from here again, and then we need to check. So we'll create if customer ref. In here they have logical name. Logical name is equal contact. Then we will do this part. Then the other one I will use else. We will copy all, same. Then I will take the name. Sorry. Account. Then only we can get the name. Now, if like this one, we check again. Yeah, so now both of our unit test is already passed, but is it finished like this one only? The answer is of course no, because in here we still can see the second part of the third part is we need to refactor. So once we already settle the production, means that this one is actually already correct, we still can enhance the code. What we need to do is, let's say I will copy this up, then maybe I will extract as a get date format, something like this. We see first how. This one, actually we don't need to have anything in here. Only like this. Then in here, yeah, something like this only. Why error? Oh, the name is different. Yeah. So this one more cleaner because the method is already like specific. This one is for the format one. So if you're checking this one is actually also ugly because actually we can do something like this, that format to string. I will use this one. This one on the transaction date. So we can delete this part. After these changes, we need to run the test again. Is it correct or not? So this one is also the one of the benefit of the TDD. If we refactor things now, this one is wrong already because it say this one wrong. So this one's supposed to be using the DD. So this is the benefit of the TDD. If you are doing things wrong in the production code, we already can detect as soon as possible because we already have the text. Same with these things, the name, I also will doing the same. I will extract the method and put it in the another method, get customer name. Let's say like this. Here only need this one. We don't need the name. Now, in here I can change customer ref empty, then return empty string. So this one we can move up, something like this. Now we can still enhance this one. We use this one ternary, if not mistake. So we can check customer ref name equal contact. Then in the framework, once again, this one is the framework things. We have get reference name. I will take the customer ref. Else, I will take service get reference name. This one account. Then put. So all this code we actually can delete already. With this, we can check the run test and everything finished here. So actually, I already deployed the code into here. After you using this framework, right? Actually, you need to merge the framework into because in here, if you see in the debug that one, we have two demo.plugins.dll and yum srm framework that one. So I actually already create in here repack. So I paste all the data, all the assembly that already created. Then in here is the code is actually simple, just calling repack, then point the key snk, and then this is the result, and this is the assembly that we need. We want to merge something like that one. So we only need to double click the path file. Everything finished. This is the result. So this one is ready to deploy one. So in here I can search the demo plugins, then I will put the changes, something like this. Then we actually can update already. Yeah, finished already. Then actually, if you check from the UI, I will just simply put the data. Let's say I just want to put 1, 10, something like that. Then I click save. Oh, sorry. Why empty? Oh, empty because this one. In the pre-transaction, I'm still not calling anything. So I need to call the business logic. Set transaction name, context, execute. So I build again. put in here. Then doing the same thing, build everything. After finish, copy again. Yeah, finish. Then it's supposed to be worked already right now. I will create a new one. Put this one, then I click save. Now, finish something like this one. So the key is using this one. Write failing test, make it pass, and then refactor. Something like that. So we go to the summary things. If you are using these things, paradigm, you can become a better developer. Better developer in terms of, because you are already like not afraid to do changes one. So once you already see, because we as a developer is always grow. In our experience, we become more better. If you read a lot of developer articles, something like that one, of course your experience will improve also. So whenever, I mean, if you already create, maybe create code that you already thinking that that one is already the best, maybe in the future when you review again, you will feel like, oh, actually I can do more better with this way. So if you doing the changes, but if you don't have the testing that help you to guide that changes, it will be more harder. Then as an organization, if you are manager or something, if you are embrace this TDD mindset, actually you will more easier to get things done, because every developer, if your organization embrace this one, means that all the developer already knowing about TDD, means that you can choose whoever that free at that time, because you will not afraid of the getting bad result, maybe bug or something. It more emphasize on the production code rather than test case design, because the matters most is the production code itself. There's a 3-step: write test, make it pass, and refactor. In software engineering, it's sometimes known as task first development, because we doing the task first for our guideline for the production code. Most important things is also, if you are using this one, you avoid regression. Then TDD when used, your code become clearer and simple to understand. Because if you are using this one, as a developer, actually I got benefit a lot using this one, because if we are using this one, we are focused to the small changes, not the big things. So if you got big tasks, something like that one, your mindset is already divided that task into small tasks that you can achieve more better, something like that one. Only that one. Thank you for attending. If you have questions.
All right. Rani and Tammy, thank you. Rani, do you have something to say?
Sorry?
Do you have something to share or to summarize the whole session?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, of course. I can share you this project if you want.
Okay. Yeah, so I think later we will compile everything. As again, as mentioned by Jiva, we will share every content here. Just be sure that you follow every links that we're posting on different social media sites to get our contents later.
Sure,
Um,
sure, Paul.
Sure.
We'll do it actually.
all right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it. Yeah. So I hope everyone enjoyed this session. So if you have any questions, please just ping in our chat window. Me and Temi will try to assist you guys on this part. And also we are available in LinkedIn too. If you are implementing this and if you stuck somewhere, please reach out to us. We'll help you on this. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.